All right, everybody, welcome today to the What Worked for Me podcast, where we talk about what health or fitness strategy worked for an individual who was successful. Today, we have an amazing guest. Tyler Weiss has lost upwards of 100 pounds-ish, not once, but twice in his life. So he has a lot of firsthand experience with this. Is there anything else you'd like me to introduce you with, Weiss?
No, I'm a pretty boring person.
I don't believe that, but so as we get started, the very first thing I like to do is kind of get a background knowledge of where you started out at. And so let's start the very first time, because I know you said your weight, you've gone about 100 pounds of weight loss almost twice at this point. So the
Mhm.
very first time, where were you at, like weight wise and also mentally, that you decide, hey, like I got to make a change and I need to probably do something better? And how did that start?
Yeah, so I started out, I guess, at my heaviest. I was 20 and I was 310 pounds, and I was about to leave on my mission, and I was stressed out and unhealthy habits leading up towards. And I got out there, and then I realized, this was going to be a lot of work, and I was like, I should probably work on my health a little bit. I didn't exercise part of the plan, so it helped with having a little bit of structure in that essence. And I think just throughout the time that I was there, the thing that really helped me was having a healthier eating habit. Not the quick and easy meals. Like, even today, I still, like, I'll go grab a frozen pizza from the store. But just being able to have a little bit of time set aside that I can cook a nice meal, even just some chicken breast and rice, is a way healthier option. And portion control was big for me because I used to just indulge and eat until I just couldn't. Because I don't have to do that. I just need to get the fuel my body needs to keep going. So through the exercise, I mean, I just started playing sports while out and going through everything. But really, it was just the accountability from I had to make sure that I was doing the work, make better. If my body was sore, I had to keep going. And I had days I skipped. I had days I just want to do a whole lot, but I still did a little bit. And I think that's what matters. Is it's not about sticking to the strict schedule that everybody pushes down your throat, right? It's like, oh, you got to work out Monday through Saturday, rest on Sunday. Like, no, just listen to your body and what it needs, and do what it
Do what feels good,
do
basically.
good. And that's where I started, and I just kept. I used to run at a track, and I'd jog half a lap, and I'd walk a lap, and then I got to the point where I was running 4.5 miles a day.
You came back from the mission, and I know since we've been talking, you said there was a period of regain. So you started at 310, you all the way
Mhm.
down to, we'll say 205.
Yep.
What did you regain back up to?
So ultimately, I had gotten myself down to 185.
Oh, well, oh, so you went even lower. So you lost, so from 310 to 185. So that's looking roughly 125-ish pounds, something like that. And
Yeah.
then, and then where did you go back up to?
So I had gotten back up after that. I had gotten back up to 300 on the dot.
And then that was kind of your like eye opening. Okay, I got to probably fix this again. So I would love to hear this perspective from you. So many people lose weight and regain. That's very common. It's almost guaranteed when you look at the statistics. So how did you handle that regain and were able to, you know, mentally work through that and then get back on the grind?
The regain was ultimately caused due to unhealthier work habits. I started working in a call center. I went from a construction job to a call center job that I was in, two different call centers for 8 years. And through that time, they were great jobs, but they offered unlimited free drinks, free snacks, everything like that. And just got into the cycle of unhealthy eating habits again and snacking all the time. And then ultimately, my last job went straight permanent work from home. And
That
then
can be hard.
I was seeing myself not leave the house for like 2 weeks at a time. And I was, that kind of put me into like a state of depression. And I was like, man, I got to get out of this. I can't do it anymore. And that's ultimately when I was getting back up to the 300 pounds. And I started seeing pictures of like Christmas from that year that I was at 300 pounds. And I was like, man, I was comparing them to when I lost all my weight. And I was like, I did it before, I can do it again. And for me, it took a little bit of a lifestyle change. I didn't want to be sitting behind a computer at a desk anymore for 10 hours of my day. So I found a more active job. And from that point, I was able to get myself back into packing my own lunch, making my own dinners. And like, I could make my own dinners, but anytime. But, packing the lunch and eating the healthier options and wanting to do those things instead of just being a couch potato. And really just getting back into um, riding a bike, running, being more active, going to the gym, just things like that. And I'm not a person. I don't go to the gym all the time. I have a gym membership, but pay for it more times a year than I actually go.
So it sounds like you don't have a ton of structure in your workout periods then. You kind of just generally try to stay active and eat healthy and
To
make it
me,
intuitive and it works better for you.
yeah, if I can adjust my life into being in a better, like, healthier all around habits, as in work habits and things like that, it helps me stay more in line with it. You know, I'm I don't really like going to the gym. I don't like to be out in public and working out and stuff. I'll do it at my house, but if I can do it for my job and then a little bit at home, for me, it's a better option all around.
That makes sense. And so you just lived a healthier lifestyle, got a more active job, and turned that around. And so for you, really, it was just once you had the regain, just realizing, instead of getting discouraged from the fact that you already had done it once, for you, it was almost just I've done this once. I know it's possible. I can do it again. And then you got back down to where you
Yeah,
needed to be.
I'm not saying it was as quick and or as easy. It was most definitely not as easy. Get
That is something that is so true. Most people, it is much, much harder the second time.
Mhm.
Um, if you're gonna lose 100 pounds, do it. The best way is to not do it, right?
I,
Hopefully, don't get to where you have to. And then the definitely best, the second best is only do it once. Don't
yeah,
do it. Don't do it 2 times.
I understand like things come up out of people's control and those things happen and like could be due to medications or whatnot. But there are ways to healthier habits and put in place in your life to get you the results and the goals that you want. And, you know, the effort that you put in will ultimately maximize the time it'll take to get there.
Right.
But it's it's kind of fun to see what you're capable of no matter your age or circumstances. It's kind of fun to push past your limits.
Yeah. So I think you're gonna have a lot of interesting perspectives. A couple things I want to ask you about is what do you feel like is you brought up the social side of things, right? You don't love being outside, you don't necessarily like going to the gym and being around other people. Um, What would you think is the biggest social difference between, maybe walking around at 185 like you were and 310? Did you notice a difference with how you interact with people and how they treated you?
Um, I mean, I've never really been the kind of person that like is worried about what other people are thinking or saying about me.
Right.
At my heaviest or my lightest, like I'm just not worried. But
Yeah.
you definitely the confidence is definitely not there. You definitely can walk around more confidently, I feel,
Right.
um at the lower weight, but um and I think that does reflect into the gym, and you'll feel better and you'll feel like less eyes are on you.
Right. It makes it a little bit easier.
And so I do, and I really appreciate like those TikToks of people that are like at the gym working their hardest, and then people hype them up.
Yeah.
No, that's not always the case.
No. Usually humanity's not that nice.
No, but nice to see it's out there.
That's right. It might exist somewhere. So, um, another thing that I always think is usually when someone's gone through a lot of stuff like this, they've learned from some mistakes, and it's always better to learn from someone else's mistakes. So, what do you think was the biggest mistake that you made with first like losing weight and then also maybe with regaining that you could have avoided? And if you had to do it again, what would you do
I,
differently?
I honestly, just I would just trial and error like what you're wanting to try. Don't go out and spend all this money on or a ton of research into like these fad diets that fade in and out. Like to me, those never worked. Like all and honestly, the biggest thing that hindered me from any success was limiting myself. And I'm like, oh, I can't have a cookie because I have to lose weight. And I'm like, no, like enjoy the things that you love in moderation. Like
Right.
still have a cookie, but don't have 10.
Yeah.
Like maybe have half. You can still enjoy everything you love, but don't indulge and like overdo it. And that's my biggest downfall. I'm addicted to food, probably. And I just love it. I love to try new food. I just need to tell myself, like, I don't need to have all of it right now. I can
Right.
either save it or I can come back. But
So for
that's,
you, it's just finding that sweet spot. Like I think the mistake you were highlighting was just you went too hard and too restrictive, and then it kind of had some issues. And you found that once you could find, instead of just saying no completely or yes completely, like, oh, I can actually, there's in between, 0 and 10 cookies. There's actually a scale that I can have in there.
yeah, like I can actually still have the things I love and not feel terrible afterwards.
Yeah, perfect. So with that being said, now that now you said you're around 230, 240, right? Is that, if I
Yeah,
remember correctly? Are you going to try to get back down to 185? What's your long-term plan? And how do you plan on not regaining? Like what safeties have you put in to make sure, okay, I'm going to stay around this weight for the rest of my life and not go back up to 300 or 310?
yeah, definitely. I don't know if I want to get down to 180 again, just because when I was doing that, I was running every day and just doing that, and I probably just not going to do that. I
A
think
little
like
unrealistic long term.
long term, unrealistic, not maintainable. And so I think my goals really like a soft 220, like I don't need to be the biggest dude. That's not my goal. I just want the strength and mobility, and I don't I don't care to be like shredded, tone, jacked. I'm not worried
All
about that.
those things. Yeah.
I just want to be healthy and fit, and like if my nephew has a party at the Ninja Warrior gym. I want to be able to do the courses, you know? Like that.
Right. The simple things in life.
Yeah. I'm not worried about it.
So coming from someone who lost 120 pounds and now, lost additionally another 40 or 50 after regain, I feel like you probably have a decent insight on how to take control of your health. If you were going to talk to yourself at day one when you were about to lose it again, what would be like the bit of advice you'd give to either yourself or someone else who is just starting on their journey?
Take it one day at a time. Like you will not see your results, but others will. Like, and that's probably the biggest thing that I struggled with is people were coming to me and be like, "Oh, are you losing weight? You look great." And I'm like, "I look the same." But I see myself,
Right.
I'm my worst critic, right? And so if people are coming up to me and saying, you're losing weight, you're looking great, I can see it on other people. And I think it is just to trust that. And one of the biggest things for me is I had to go to weighing myself once a month for the first little while, and then I went to once every other week because your weight fluctuates so much between even a day that it can be a little disheartening to be like a pound lost, 2 pounds lost, 3 pounds gained, and you're like, what just happened? I haven't been doing anything differently. And so
Right.
not over worrying yourself about what the scale says and just weigh yourself once a month and you will see the results and it's worth it.
I think that was great. Is there anything else you'd like to add in or talk about before we wrap things up?
No, man, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on and sharing your story, and hopefully we can kind of build a community and help get this information out there for people who are just, guys like you, everyday, hardworking, normal guys who have managed to do an amazing thing. So thanks for sharing your story, and we'll end it there. Have a nice day, everyone.
Thanks.